Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this on-demand webinar. This webinar is entitled, Are You Ready for Your Close-Up? And it is attracting your ideal patient with video. Whether you're watching from the office or at home or between patients, I'm so glad you've carved out some time to be here with us. This session is packed with valuable marketing strategies that will help your practice stand out and connect with patients, those that you most want to serve. So, since this is a pre recorded session, you can pause, rewind, or re-watch any part as needed, which I think is such a great opportunity for you to really learn what our presenter, Laura Nadler, has put together today. I encourage you to grab a notebook or open your notes app. You'll want to jot down ideas and follow some of the action steps that she is going to let you know what's going to be most important to help you with your video. At the end, I'll share how to get some additional resources and then even how you can get a hold of Laura. So it's my pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Laura J. Nadler. She knows that practices struggle to attract new patients by chasing every new platform in existence. She doesn't just get you new patients, she gets you the right patients. And she knows a strong brand story is the key to connection. As a brand coach, filmmaker, and best-selling author, Laura helps practices tell their unique story through websites, photography, and video that reflect their authenticity. She is the author of Lights, Camera, You, a step-by-step guide to video content, which you might want to check out. I think you can find that on Amazon. Is that correct, Laura?
Yeah.
Awesome. She is the vice president of ADMC and a member of SCN and ADOM's ASCA. She is also a member of the eAssist Consultant Network and can be found under consultants at dentalbilling.com. When she's not working, Laura loves to travel. She has been to 17 countries and counting, and she is a wine and a sci-fi nerd. I love that about her. She lives in New York with her husband and their 2 fur babies. And today she's going to walk us through why video matters in today's marketing landscape, what videos every dental practice should have, and how to actually use those videos and attract your ideal patients. Laura, I'm so excited to have you, and I'm excited to hear what you have to present to these teams today. And I'm going to turn the time over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me, Jacqueline. I truly appreciate it. I love sharing this message with people because I think sometimes video can seem like the scary thing. We can all take photos and we share on social media, but suddenly video seems like that might be out of my comfort zone. So hopefully today I will take the scary out of that for everyone.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, let's get started.
So video has become something incredibly important in marketing. And each year, really in the past 15 years, it's become more and more important. If you are on any sort of social media platform or anything like that, you see the constant exposure, the constant, the things that get engagement are videos. But what I really want to talk about in particular is the cost when you're not attracting an ideal patient. That 40% number, that comes from the American Dental Association. And 40%, according to the ADA, of new patients who come to your practice for the first time don't reappoint. Now, obviously, that's going to vary. You might only have 10%, maybe you have closer to 80%, depending on what's happening in the practice. So what does 40% of new patients leaving really mean in a dollars and cents way? What does it really cost your practice? Well, I'm going to tell you it costs about $824,000. That's kind of a big, scary number. And where did I come up with a number like that? Well, let's say you are the average U.S. practice and you are looking to attract about 200 new patients a year. And again, that statistic comes to us from the ADA. If I take their 40% who don't reappoint, that's 80 patients out of that 200 who don't come back to see you after that initial blind date. Now, a lifetime average on those patients is about $10,000. And on a conservative estimate, you spent about $300 in marketing and outreach to attract a new patient. We call that cost of acquisition. So $10,000 and $300 times those 80 patients puts us at $824,000 left on the table because someone came to see you once and didn't stay. Now, I know you've probably been to a million courses where they've said, well, it's all about that first phone call, and it's all about your case presentation, and it's all about how your team handles them. And yes, all of those things are important because ideally we want every step along the patient journey to be a pleasant and positive one. But I would argue that sometime that disconnect happened before they've even walked in the door because they don't know who you truly are. They don't understand who you are as a person, as a provider. They just don't get your vibe. The expression, it used to be a movie, was, they're just not that into you. So I want to give you a way to help them understand who you really are. Let's try to keep those patients who come in the door and get them to stay. Because the biggest challenge is they come in and what they saw about you on your website or on social media is different than what they meet when they walk in. Suddenly there's a disconnect and that creates a friction. And although they may stay there for that first appointment, they may decide not to come back because you aren't the right fit. Or maybe they're not the right fit for you. So ideally, what I'd love is for anything that you put out there, photography, video, your messaging, to reflect who you really are. And I'll tell you as we go through this, a number of the photos that are here, for example, this one, these are clients who we've worked with. And so our goal is always to get that authentic interacting with a patient, who they truly are. I feel like this image says a lot about who this woman is and how she interacts with kids. And it's a pedo ortho practice. So that's what I should be seeing. I should be seeing who she really comes across as, both in her photography and in her video. So I want to make sure that you're showing them that. Now, there's good video and there's great video. Great video should include some key things. And the biggest one is our 2-camera interview. So this is where you as a provider or maybe a patient or a team member is looking at the camera and telling me your story. Now, I know that that can sometimes feel a little itchy because that's not something that we're used to. And most of us as human beings are not comfortable sitting in front of a camera. But I'm going to give you a little out as you do these things. You've probably seen some sort of celebrity interview or even a late night talk show, any of those things where someone is maybe talking about the project they're working on or the film they just made. They're usually not doing what I'm doing right now. They're usually not speaking directly to the camera. They're doing this, where they're speaking off to the side to the person who's interviewing them. I will tell you that if you're not comfortable in front of a camera, that is the easiest, most natural way to be able to shoot your interview footage without feeling like you're staring down a camera lens. And people are used to seeing that. The examples I just gave you are any number of video content where folks aren't staring directly into the camera. Now, I will give you a pro tip here. If you are a pedo practice or an ortho practice, or the bulk of your practice patients are millennial and younger, then I would suggest trying to speak directly to camera because that generation, that cohort, are used to watching videos, usually on their phone, where someone is speaking directly to them. So that's going to be more relatable to that particular generation than that side view that might be better for your Gen Xers or older. So just a little tip there on the interview pieces. Your video should also include what we call B-roll footage. These are those action shots. So sort of like the photo we just saw of that dentist speaking to a young patient, there's also video footage that looks like that. And that reinforces the story. That footage in your video doesn't have any sound to it because the voiceover from your interview is still continuing. But those images, that B-roll footage, are reinforcing the story. They're doing the show, don't tell. So although your voice is saying, this is how our practice is, that B-roll footage is showing, yeah, it really actually is. I'm not just saying that. And any good video, especially for marketing, should include a call to action. Something that says, call our office for an appointment. Or want to learn more about Invisalign? Shoot us a note or respond in the comments or whatever it is. Something that creates an engagement with your viewer beyond they just watched it and now they think, okay, that's cool. But when you're putting stuff out into the world, particularly if you're putting it on platforms like social media or YouTube, make sure that you include a call to action in your video. Now, there are, in my opinion, 3 key videos that your practice should have. You can make a bunch more and certainly reach out to me if you want to know what those others are or how to do them. Happy to guide you through that. But the 3 key ones I feel that every practice needs to have start with brand story. And this is a video that talks about what sets you apart as a practice. It should definitely feature the doctor or doctors, depending on the size of your practice. In the B-roll footage, it should show me everyone. I should see your front desk staff there, admin team, your assistants, your hygienists. I want to get a sense of who's in the practice. So let that B-roll of all your team members reinforce the story you're telling in that interview portion. And I want you to specifically focus on highlighting what's special. And I will tell you, as we continue to get more and more modern in the dental industry, saying that we're state of the art is no longer what sets us apart. Everyone these days has amazing technology, has an incredible front desk team, hopefully. But I want you to focus on the things that truly make you special. And maybe that you have a very homey feeling. Maybe every one of your patients says, "Oh my God, whenever I come here, I feel like you guys are family." Or your team has that family vibe. That's the sort of thing you'd want to say in these videos because that's what sets you apart. Maybe family isn't your vibe. Maybe you're a very high-end prosthodontic practice and you're all about the precision of your work and your attention to detail. Tell me that in your story, because then as a prospective patient, that sets my expectations. That helps me understand, is this the sort of vibe I'm looking for? Do I want to feel more welcome and homey and, there's beverages in the waiting room and I'm going to get a fresh baked cookie? Or am I maybe having something done with an implant and I'm thinking, no, I need to go to this place where they're talking about how buttoned down and how precise they are in their prosthetic work. So again, tell the story that makes you special, the thing that sets you apart, because that's going to be what a prospective patient relates to and eventually chooses your practice because of. The other video I want you to have is specifically a Meet the Doc. It's sort of a doctor bio. And just a few tips for making this one. And the big one I wrote there in big capital letters is, you do you. If you wear scrubs to practice, this isn't the day to put on your Sunday best. Wear what they're going to wear, what you're going to wear when they meet you. Again, the point of this is authenticity. Who are they going to actually encounter when they walk through the doors of your practice? So show up the way you show up in practice. If you want to fuss a little more with the hair or the face or whatever, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with looking polished, but don't try to be someone you aren't when you're actually in practice. And a big one, talk about you. Talk about your passions. You can mention where you went to school, but for your average patient, it's really not something they care about. They assume, if you are a dentist, that you went to dental school. I always explain this, it's sort of like the Uber analogy. If you summon an Uber on your phone, you anticipate that the person showing up has a driver's license who knows how to do the job, or they wouldn't be on Uber. So folks who are looking for a dentist and watching your videos, they assume you went to dental school and you know how to be a dentist. So instead, talk to them about you. Maybe talk about why you became a dentist. Maybe explain that day when you were in Pee-wee soccer and your front tooth got knocked in and your mom rushed you off with the tooth in a cup of milk and went to the dentist and that dentist saved your smile. How that changed your life. Those are the stories that compel patients. Those are the stories that tell them who you really are. And I would also suggest, much like the bio Jacqueline read for me, that you include the things outside of your business. I'm a travel person, and as she said, I'm a food and a sci-fi nerd. Those are my jams. And I want people to know that about me before they hire me or ask me to speak, because it explains a little bit about who I am. So in your Meet the Doc video, talk about what you do besides dentistry. Maybe it's your family. Maybe you go skydiving. Whatever the things are that define you as a person beyond I'm a dentist. Again, those are those key things that are going to make people listen. And they're going to say, that's somebody I feel like I can connect with. That's probably a practice I want to go to. And finally, and this is one of the most compelling ones, your patient testimonial. If you've been in practice for even a couple of years, you already have patients who just love you to pieces. They want to tell everybody how amazing you are. And those are the people we want to sit in front of a camera to tell that story. Now, my recommendation for a patient testimonial reel is not to do just one individual patient for each of these, but do one solid, well-produced video that includes 3 to 4 patients. And it's going to be a little similar to the concept of the other videos where we're going to sit them down and do an actual interview with them and then shoot B-roll footage that shows them interacting with your hygienist, with your front desk, maybe an assistant walking them back to the chair, or you explaining, sitting across from them, explaining in a consult what their treatment is like. All the things that, again, reinforce the story that they're telling. But the key things I want to know from those patients are, why do they love your practice? Now, hopefully, their message is in alignment with the one you told me in your brand video, that thing that sets you apart, that thing that resonated with them as a patient. A great piece of story to include in a patient testimonial is how did it change their life? I have a friend who is a dentist and who talked about an elderly woman who used to come to the practice. And he was going to do all these different things for her, talked about dentures. He figured, she was a little older. Maybe he didn't want to go into the whole full mouth of implant or on forth. Wasn't sure she could financially handle that. But he decided to bring it up because maybe. And her question was, will I be able to eat steak if I do that? And he said, well, yeah, because her concern all along with her dentures was that she couldn't comfortably eat the food she loved. And now because she chose to go ahead with the implant-supported denture option, she got that piece of her life back. That is an incredibly compelling patient testimonial. Those are the sorts of things you want to include. And a little pro tip, always include patients who look like the patient you want to attract. And I explain that this way. If you are looking to bring in younger families who are going to be with your practice for years and years, then feature those sorts of people in your videos. If your practice is, say, in the Villages in Florida, and you're really looking to bring in that retired community, then feature those people in your videos. You don't want to have people in your patient testimonials who aren't the patients you're necessarily looking for. Again, we create that disconnect there. If you're looking to attract a 35-year-old new mom, then we don't want her to see testimonials that are nothing but 60 and 70-year-old patients because she'll think, well, that's not me. I can't see myself in that practice because even though you may treat all kinds of patients, what she's seeing is that retirement group. So keep that in mind when you invite folks to come in to be a part of those patient testimonial. If your practice is all over the place in terms of age, what I will typically tell practices who we shoot videos for is get me a millennial, an X, and a boomer, because then I've got somebody who represents every one of those generations present. And then as a prospective patient, I can see some version of myself in those patient testimonials and understand that you're a practice who treats those patients. Now, a little bonus one. This is the hero reel. Now, this can be silent on the top of your homepage, or it can have audio and be used as a commercial.
Understand who that.
Sorry, I'm pausing because I believe you can hear him. What these videos are great for are 2 different places. You've often seen when you open up a new website, there's a big video at the top of it. It might have a color filter over it, and that's where the main logo of the practice or your title tagline goes. Those are called hero reels. And what those are is just really all that great B-roll footage that was captured during your shoot, edited together to kind of showing the vibe of your practice. You saw in that one, there was a warm, friendly greeting at the front desk. There was a doctor talking to a patient chairside. All of those things that convey who you are as a practice. We can use up all that extra B-roll, and then that can live at the top of your website. Now, I will tell you that Google loves video. So if one of the things that concerns you is your SEO, are you being found, is your website getting seen, having video, especially on the homepage of your website, creates over an 80% increase in Google serving you up higher because it's always looking for fresh content. And video, which is something that stimulates us, rewards us. I guess, I always say we're all seven on the internet. We like to see things that are moving and shiny, and Google knows that. So when they can serve up something that includes video, they're more likely to put it higher in the rankings. So video will always help your SEO. So even if you don't want to put your big brand video there, or if you haven't finished a brand video, that hero reel at the top can make a huge difference. Now, in the case of the one you just saw, we did do voiceover from the doctor there and put this very specific call to action that you still see there on the screen. In his particular market, he was able to use that as a commercial, both on local television and in a movie theater where sometimes you'll go in and you'll see those ads before you're watching a film in a theater. That's the place where he was able to use all that B-roll footage, but with a voiceover. That's always an easy one for any production company to put together for you because typically all that footage is already shot and we've already got audio, usually from the doc bio or from that brand video. So again, it's 3 videos I absolutely want you to make sure that you have, but also this little bonus one that really doesn't take much else to create. You've already got the footage and the voice. Now, the question I always get from practices, no matter where I'm speaking, is, can I do that? Like, is this a thing I could do as a practice? Or do I need to hire a professional to come in and do that? And I will say that the answer to that is it depends. And I'll tell you that depends on a number of things. Obviously, one of the key ones is your budget. If you're a brand new practice, maybe you're not in a position to start hiring someone to come in and do this. But I want you to think about your marketing budget, particularly as a new practice. People will often say it's 3 to 5% of your collections is what you should be spending on marketing. But I will tell you, if you are a brand new practice trying to get some traction, or if you're a transitioning practice, so maybe a new associate is now taking over as the new lead doctor, or you're looking to sell the practice and you want to boost some of its visibility, then 3 to 5 is not enough. 3 to 5 is a practice that's humming along. Going from 5 to 7 to 8 or more is probably where you should be to get yourself to a humming practice. So think about where your budget is, and that's one of your considerations. But the other ones really come down to the quality of the video. Sure, you can pick up an iPhone and shoot a quick little video and put that onto Instagram or Facebook or wherever you'd like. But for the videos that are actually going to live on your website, that are going to represent who you really are and probably be there for a while, it probably is worth it to spend on having someone to do it for you. We call these videos evergreen because hopefully that's it. They're going to be around for a while. They're not just going to be subbed out in a couple of months or even a couple of days like social media would. But things I want you to consider, if you are thinking about doing it yourself, or if you're weighing whether you should do it yourself or hire a pro, the first one is someone with equipment. Again, could pop out an iPhone at any time. It's not going to capture quite that same quality of video as someone who will come in with multiple cameras, with lighting, with good sound equipment. And I will tell you, lighting, lighting, lighting. When real estate, we always say the things to think about is location, location, location. In video, it's lighting, lighting, lighting. Having someone well lit, like a lot of the images that you've seen here, make all the difference. Even if you don't have great natural light in your practice, it can look like a brighter and lighter space with good lighting. So making sure you have someone with that equipment. Now, maybe your office manager has a kid in film school and there's someone who's going to have the equipment and all of that. So go for it. But definitely make sure someone who is going to shoot your evergreen videos is going to come with professional equipment to capture the best possible version of you. You also want to make sure you have someone who has editing skills. Now, again, I've said it before, somebody could pick up their phone, cut some things together into an iMovie, and that's great for your temporary platforms like social media. But for the purpose of your evergreen, again, you want those to be videos that truly represent you. You want there to be quality transitions between cut. You want there to be good graphic. You want it to look professional. You may have someone who does that, or you may need to hire a pro. And for the day of the shoot, and this might not have sounded like something you'd need to make videos, but it really is, a strong leader. because on a day of a video shoot, and my business is Working Cat, so I will say it's like herding cats. It's very challenging to get people to spend an entire day doing things they're not used to doing. You may be the best dentist on the planet. You may have amazing hygienists and a stellar administrative team. But today, we're going to ask them to do something that's outside of their comfort zone. So having someone who can corral that, who can let everybody know where they need to be when, what they need to be doing, and sort of orchestrate that whole day for you, that is key for being able to capture the videos that truly represent who you are as a practice. Now, as Jacqueline mentioned, she'll tell you how you'd like to get in touch with me if you'd like to. We can certainly have a conversation about whether or not you're at a place where you're ready to shoot your professional videos. But whether you use us or you don't use us, these are the things I want you to think about. I want you to ask a company that you might talk with, in addition to what's your fee, because obviously we all want to know how much it is, what does that include? Am I going to have to pay extra for edit? Am I going to have to pay extra for this or that or whatever the things are? Who owns the footage when it's done? These are all questions you should ask a company that you hire for video production. I will tell you that at Working Cat, we give you an all-in price up front. That includes the shoot, the edits, all the graphics, the music, all that sort of stuff, because you use licensed music to put behind your video. And we give you an all-in cost with travel and everything, so there are no surprises. We never want to come back to you after a shoot and say, oh, well, that's an extra how much? We like everybody to know what's happening when we walk in the door. We also spend a lot of time planning with you because we want to make sure that we get the most out of that day. So we will have a pre-production call with your practice to understand your voice and the message you want to make sure that you get across. Make sure any company that you hire will spend that time with you before they show up in your practice to capture those images. Being prepared is 90% of the job because then it's easier to just film you at your best possible way, telling the story of who you truly are as a practice. But again, if you have any questions for that, certainly feel free to reach out to me. You can go to workingcatvideo.com and see a whole bunch of our video work there. You can learn about what we do, or you can tell us that you'd like to book a shoot. But we'd love to hear from you. Most importantly, I want to see your videos. I love when people tell their story and take that plunge into creating great videos. Jacqueline?
Wonderful. Thank you, Laura. I appreciate you. There we go. I'm so excited for everyone to learn more about video today and what they can do to attract the ideal patient. You've given practical strategies and inspiration that have really made a difference. I think will really make a difference to practices. So thank you for taking the time to share all of that with us.
Absolutely my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. I will tell you that if folks go to workingcat.pro/video podcast, there are some downloads there they can get for free. And that's a model release form. So when you ask patients to be in your videos, you should have them sign a model release. So ours is an actual legally vetted model release. You just put your logo on it. And there's also an example of a shot list so people can understand what that looks like when we do a shoot for a day.
I love that. You're so generous with some of those tools that really are resources to really help practices. So thank you for that. So they go to did you say, tell me again, what's the website again?
workingcat.pro/video
Okay.
podcast.
Video podcast. Great. I love it. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Oh.
And thank you, all of you, for joining us today. We can't wait to see how you can use video to help your practice shine. And thank you again for being here and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Jacqueline.